Today we are fixing broken systemd services. If a service will not start, keeps crashing, or shows a failed, this video will show you the simple, reliable way to find the problem and fix it. We will use only a few core commands, slowly one step at a time. Now let's go to the terminal. Before we fix anything, we must see the current state of the service. This will tell us whether it's running, stopped, or failed. And the command to do that is systemctl status and the process. And right now I don't have nginx installed. I'll install that here quickly. Okay, now that I have this installed, I'll run the command again and I see that it is running. The important line you want to look for here is the active line. Here, if it says failed, that means that systemd tried to start the service but something went wrong. In IT, this is the first command you would run when a web server, a database, or a monitoring agent is not working. You never guess what is wrong, you first check the status. Most beginners skip the error message. To simulate that, I have purposely failed my nginx service. So running this command, systemd will tell you what has failed. All you have to do is look at the last few lines. This means port 80 is already in use. Another program is already using it. So systemd is not broken, the configuration is wrong. This can often happen on a machine where both Apache and nginx are both installed, because only one service can truly use port 80 at a time. If the error has not been cleared, you can read the service logs. The journalctl command shows systemd logs. So the command you would use is sudo journalctl -u for the unit or service we are looking up, and we're going to do nginx. And if this was a configuration file issue, this will tell you the file that is missing. For example, systemd may tell you that the configuration file doesn't exist at all. In the real world, this would be how you would debug broken services after a bad package install, or after accidentally deleting a config file. Now, in my example, I actually have another process running in the background so I could stop it and restart it. Let's say you accidentally deleted a config file for nginx or Apache even. All you would have to do to reinstall the package is run sudo apt install --reinstall and then the program's name, in this case nginx, and click enter. And this will typically restore the default configuration files. So we're still not touching systemd. We're fixing what the service itself depended on. This is how you will recover from broken installs or accidental file deletion. And after fixing the problem, you reload systemd and restart the service. The command to do that is sudo systemctl daemon -reload. And then we're going to do sudo systemctl restart nginx, the service. And no output means that everything ran successfully. But because you're an IT professional, you always want to double check. So we're going to do sudo systemctl status nginx. And we see it active and running now. This means the service is now healthy. You should always confirm with status. And this is the exact workflow used on a production system. First you check the status, then you read the logs, then you fix the underlying cause, then you restart the service and verify the service came up. Now sometimes a service works, but it does not start after a reboot. In those situations you want to check to see if enabled is present when you run the systemctl status command. So to show you what that looked like, I'm going to disable this real quick. And that's sudo systemctl disable nginx. So now when I run status, I have disabled, and depending on the distro you are using, sometimes disabled will be a different color. And if this says disabled, this means the service will not start automatically after a reboot. Now for some services, you may want that to be the case. You may want it to only be running when people are using it. But if this is something you want to always start after a reboot, to enable it, you simply go and run this command again, sudo systemctl, and this time we're going to say enable, and then the service name. Let me clear the screen so you can see better. And now if I run status, it now says enabled. And so now it will start on every boot of the machine itself. And this is common after manual installs or custom services. And some programs out there by default, when you first install them, are going to be disabled. Probably the biggest mistake I see a lot of people new to Linux make is not running commands with sudo. Now, some things with systemctl will not require sudo, but because it doesn't hurt to put sudo in front of it, I recommend you always use sudo in front of systemctl. But as a good rule of thumb, if you see permission denied, or you don't see the full output of a command when you run systemctl with it, try it again with sudo in front of it. The second biggest mistake I see a lot of new people make is restarting the service without reading the error. If you do not read the logs, restarting the service is just guessing. You should always read the status. So sudo systemctl status nginx. And you should always run journalctl. And these two things should always be what you do first before restarting the service. And the third biggest mistake I always see people make is using the wrong service name. If you're unsure of the service name, you can start typing it and use tab to autocomplete it. So always make sure you use the exact service name from systemctl status. So to put this into a real world scenario, let's say somebody puts in an IT ticket saying that they can't get to your web page. So the first thing I would do is run sudo systemctl status, and because I knew I'm using nginx, I'm going to do nginx, and I'll see that it's running, or I'll see that it's failed. And then the second thing I'm going to do is sudo journalctl -u for unit to help filter out what I'm looking at. I'm going to do nginx again, hit enter, and if it was showing as failed, this would tell me why it was failed. And if it was failing because of another service running earlier, I could do sudo ss-tulpn, type the grep for the port number, and this would show me what else was using the service. Right now my web server is running like it's supposed to, but if another process was using this port number, I would see what it is and I would be able to stop it or change the configuration for my web server to use a different port. And then once I believe I have the situation fixed and I believe that it should be running, then and only then would I do sudo systemctl restart the service. And because I'm an IT professional, even though no output from this command means that the command successfully ran, I would still always do sudo systemctl status and double check that it shows it's active and running. And that was a real IT workflow. No magic, just a clear process. One small next step that is more advanced than the intention of this video is to learn how to test a service file. You can use the command sudo systemd-analyze, verify, and then the path to the service file. In this case is lib systemd system nginx, and no output means that this config file is fine, but this command checks for syntax errors in the service file itself. This can be very useful when you start creating your own services, but only try this after you're comfortable with the basics that we covered in today's video. Fixing broken services is a skill you will build with repetition. Work through this a few times and it will feel natural. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment down below and I will see you in the next video.